Holy shit, that was a nice little burp to start it off. Hey, welcome back to the Street Shaman Podcast. I am your host, Shamanic Poe, aka Poe and the Rockstar. And today I'm here with the homie, a former roadie, now comedian, Cheesefoot. What's up, my guy? How you feeling?
What's going on, homie? How's everybody doing?
Feeling good, feeling good. What you been up to, my guy? What you been up to?
Pandemic life hasn't been, anything fun. I'm just chilling, playing video games. I got Legend of Zelda on the TV in the background right now. Got that shit paused up because I got important things to do with it right now.
Right, with the podcast. But
Oh
what were you
yeah,
playing? What Legend of Zelda were you playing?
we got Breath of the Wild up right now.
Oh, you got Breath of the Wild up. Yeah. I beat that game like 4 years ago. I beat it about 4 years ago. And every time I see a trailer, I see like even like a thumbnail of a review, I want to go back to Breath of the Wild.
Dude,
But I'm
there's so
still
much to
waiting
do
for
in that
part
game.
two.
I like you can beat the storyline and then still you'll have probably a year of playing left in you.
Right, right. Um, so yeah, man, like that's one of the games that I fuck with. I go back to every now and then. But what I wanted to really ask you, outside of just you being up, I know the pandemic got you fucked up. It's got a lot of people fucked up, especially when you're outside doing shows or you want to do a
Yeah.
show for a crowd. You know, you can't really do it for a crowd. You could do it for like half a crowd.
hmm
How was it? How was it in Philadelphia doing comedy?
So as of right now, pandemic related at least, Philly is still closed. Uh, January, or I'm sorry, what was it? May 31st, the state of Pennsylvania released all of the restrictions except for the masks. You still have to wear your mask in public, but the city of Philadelphia does not actually take after the trends of the state of Pennsylvania. The mayor is actually doing his own shit and not following the governor. So Pennsylvania is actually still, or Philadelphia is still restricted pretty heavy, unfortunately. So we
Mm.
ain't got shows quite yet, but we're coming up.
Right. So is that some shit that, not to get too political on this one, is that something that is
Hmm.
because Pennsylvania is like Republican by state, but Philly is like liberal by the city?
Yeah, yeah, for the most part. And again, I won't dive deep into the political aspect, but you'll find that if you check like as far as political voting goes, you'll find that the major cities almost always will run like 90% Democratic throughout the entire country and then Republican for the rest of the states. It's really funny if you watch like if you look at like the map of like presidential voting, you'll see you can pick out where cities are in the maps just based on the blue dots. It's kind of cool.
Right, right, right. Did that make you want to fucking move to Texas or some shit? Like, did you want to go
Um,
to Austin and shit, be next to Joe
I
Rogan?
I did a little bit of I don't like to tell people too much. I did a little bit of uh, COVID traveling. I went down to Florida a couple times. I went to Universal last August. And have you ever been to Universal?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
The
Go
first
ahead,
time I
finish.
went, it took like 12 hours to go through the whole park, get everything done, and there was still shit that we didn't get to finish. And then during the pandemic, there was nobody there, and in 4 hours, I finished the entire park.
Yeah, yeah. Like I totally understand, and the reason why I wanted you to finish because I didn't want to step on what you were saying. Um, Last summer I went to Universal as well. It's funny that you say that you didn't want to tell too many people about this shit because I didn't give a fuck. I was telling everybody like I mean I had my mask and everything like they
Yeah.
asked, but I went to Universal. The price was cheap. I got fucking like I got tickets for super cheap, like half the price
hmm
basically. And then the resort, I had the resort. That shit was cheap.
Dude, I think my resort cost me $35 a day. Like, couldn't believe
Right,
it because
right, right,
I was going to go down. I was going to go down to the Baltimore Zoo, and
right.
it's like a 2 hour drive, and the hotel. It's not very far, but I was still going to get a hotel for the night. And by the time I started looking at it, I was like, for the same price and travel time as going to the aquarium, I could just fly down to Florida and enjoy myself.
Right. No, exactly, man. Especially
Hmm.
like at that time, it was like there wasn't really many options, but we did have a little bit of cash because of unemployment and all
Hmm.
the extra. So it was like, well, fuck it. I told my girl, I was like, fuck it, let's just go because when is the next opportunity that we could possibly go? Like as far as you're not working, I'm not working, I'm not doing music shit. You're not, you know what I mean? Like it
Exactly.
was
It was the perfect opportunity because busy people don't get a lot of opportunities, and once this fully ends, I'm a busy person again. So take advantage of
right,
it.
right. So why did you feel? Why were you like feeling some type of way about letting people know? Is it because you're from Philly and in Philly, are they like extra about this shit right now?
It's because a lot of my comedy stuff, I kind of market myself as a punk rocker and emo comedian, and I live in that DIY punk scene. Like,
Right,
and in
right.
that DIY punk scene, there was so many people that if you were trying to put on shows, you were canceled in that scene. It was like if you were doing anything in the public, you were done. And I just constantly
Ah,
watched people like trying to put together socially distanced shows. I would watch people
mhm,
like, oh yeah, well we're going to do this show, and it's a 10,000. Like we did a show in August last year where it was a 10,000 square foot venue, and
right.
maximum capacity was 30. So like you
Wow.
couldn't get close to somebody if you wanted to, and people were still so mad about it.
Which is ridiculous. Which is I understand that because like the punk, the even if it's underground, grassroots punk rock, emo culture is still heavily invested, heavily involved. Have sorry, I'm hearing something on your end. It's
Oh
distracting
shit!
me.
Hold on.
Um, it was heavily involved in even though it's punk rock and it's emo and stuff, it's still heavily involved in the politics.
Yeah,
Like
unfortunately.
some like in some way they got swept over with all that fucking political correctness bullshit. And that's really not what punk is. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
you when you think punk rock, you think like fuck the government. We're gonna do the exact opposite of everything that you tell us. And then this was the only time where I've ever seen the entire punk rock scene came together and was like, "Hey, do what the government tells you." And it was definitely very strange.
right. That's not punk at all. There's nothing punk about that shit. Which is weird because I did see some like even the underground rap dudes like Twisted, which are a bigger act, and
Hmm.
they do 500, 1,000 people. They didn't want to go on tour because I felt like they didn't want to feel that backlash of going on tour.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was
And
other smaller acts that were definitely going on tour. What were you saying, sorry, bro?
in my opinion, like if you want to go do shows, if you want to take the risk of going to shows, like you have to definitely weigh your options and go through the whole thought process. But it all comes down to whether or not you're willing to risk it, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
I know that there's definitely been a lot of artists that were not doing it because they felt that they weren't able to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just so that fucked up a lot of shit for us. We fucked
Oh yeah.
up money. It fucked up money. It fucked up like opportunity. It fucked up drive because like
Hmm.
for instance, if you're a person that like if you're a comedian, like right now you're doing comedy, right? So if
Yes,
you're a
sir.
comedian, you need to be on the stage all the time to make sure you maintain sharp,
Yep.
to keep that
The
energy
first
going.
show of a tour, I'm sure it's the same way for you. The first show of a tour is almost always my worst show of the tour because like my shit's not together yet. I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy figured out. I don't have everything planned. As you go, you figure out what works. And I always tell people if you're looking at going to a show, looking at going on a certain tour, if you see that your city is the last date of that tour or second to last, somewhere last week or something, you're in for one of the best shows of that entire tour without a doubt.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Definitely. It's like for anybody. Like they think we just get on stage and now we just I don't know, we were oozing with talent to the point that we just jumped on the fucking stage and now everything is perfect. All
But
the
no, it's
stars
practice,
align.
practice, practice.
Correct. It's practice. It's just conditioning. It's like, oh, now I know what to do when that happens. Now I know what
Hmm.
to do when I do this. and you have to continue to do it. If you don't continue to do it, when you get back to it, you're going to be rusty. You might second guess yourself after 6, 7 months of time. Do you feel yourself like second guessing your comedy after not being able to do it as much?
So without being able to do it, it's kind of made me look at other options as far as work goes because I've been a career restaurant employee for my whole life, and that works great for any entertainer at all because they always say, entertainers, illegal immigrants, and criminals are always in your restaurant industry because they're all going to go away for a little bit, but they're going to come
Right.
back. You can, without a doubt, they're going to come back, and it's absolutely true. If you work in the restaurant industry, they let you come and go as you please, which is great for any kind of entertainment. But
Right.
with the restaurant industry was down because of COVID. Work isn't, their money's not there like it used to be. It has you start looking for other options as far as employment. And I might have to start looking for a job where my option of touring is not going to be as readily available, which that's definitely been the biggest downside for it so far.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's the biggest thing as an entertainer, as somebody that's going to tour, or do shows, or do some shows on a weekend or whatever the fuck. You need to be able to have that relationship with the company that you work for or whatever
Mm-hmm.
business that you work for, that you can say, hey, look, I'm not going to be working for the next 2 weeks. And they could be like, all right, cool, we got more than enough people. But with
Mm-hmm.
right now, with everything that's happening, all the spots are short staffed.
Oh
Like
yeah.
my girl works at restaurants and bars. That's what she does.
Mm-hmm.
She's a bartender server. And
Same. That was my career.
she can't fucking get enough hours, but they
Mm-hmm.
still want her on. They still want her to work because everybody already quit. So they want her to work for 2 days a week, which doesn't even add up
Yeah.
to it hasn't been adding up to the 300 that they're giving out for
Mm-hmm.
unemployment. You know what I mean? So
And
she's
it's
cut.
it I keep seeing all the things people are like, oh, labor shortage this, and people only don't want to work because of they're getting so much money on unemployment. It's really coming down to we're at a point where people are starting to realize their worth, which is a fantastic thing to have in the labor industry. When you realize that your time is worth more than what somebody's trying to give you, that's going to be beneficial for us in the long term for sure. You're seeing
Right,
now like places like McDonald's are giving people sign-on bonuses and $15 to $18 an hour just to start, and you're like, wow,
right,
you've been stealing from us $10 an hour. Like, I'm not saying they were paying you $10 an hour, I'm saying they were saving themselves $10 an hour on every employee in that business. So it's
right,
nice to see people start to be appreciated.
right. And I'm sure that's definitely great for us as people, but as those corporations, I'm sure they're scared
Oh yeah.
and they're gonna have some type of pushback later. I know, like they're trying to like reel people in with that bullshit, but unless they continue to keep it that way and make it like higher, because for example, a lot of places, say Amazon employees, they start
Mm-hmm.
you at 15.
Yeah.
You get started at 15. But if you're a manager, not a manager, but if you're like a higher up,
Yeah, the
whatever the fuck
supervisors there.
yeah, whatever they want to call it, because they have different names for it, but you'll get $1 or $2 extra.
Yeah.
So you have all this responsibility. You might not have to do all the actual labor, but you have all this extra responsibility for an extra $50 a week.
Mm-hmm. I won't name drop any specific companies that I've worked for, but let's just say it rhymes with Crapplebees. When I worked
Okay.
there, I worked there for about 7 years, and they offered me a management position. Essentially, they call it a key hourly position, and
Okay.
they were like, "Yeah, it pays you $10 an hour to have all the added responsibilities of making sure that the restaurant runs." And I was like, "Wait, so I take a pay cut to be a manager?" And they're like, "Yeah, but only a couple days a week." Well, I'm good. No,
What do
thank you.
but what do you mean about a couple days a week? So like you would
It
get
was
paid your manager rate, but then you would also get paid on certain days. We're gonna give you 10 because we're trying to have you help out us.
essentially what it came down to was you would work the days that the managers didn't want to work, like if they needed off or something, they would bring you in and you would work their job for the day, but it was a pay cut for me to come in and do it. And there's like it was already a day that I would be working, so it's just like, hey, do you want to lose money today? Like, oh, I'm good, thank you.
Right. And what the fuck? Like, who the fuck makes those things up?
But
Who
they offer
decides?
that kind of thing to try to make people think it gives people a false sense of power in a way. It makes people think like, oh, I'm moving up, like I'm making an advancement here. I'm gonna, grow my career, and then it's really just you're being
Right,
used. You're a cog in that machine.
right. You're like, or you just, yeah, you get that false sense of like, okay, I'm gonna show them my worth, so that way they can hire, like, give me a raise or give me a
Mm-hmm.
promotion or some shit. But it doesn't do that.
Yeah,
They just keep you in a loop and
exactly.
keep you like
They put
fucking
you where
chasing.
they want you.
Right, keep you in that hamster wheel. So anyway, man, I wanted to take you back a little bit before the comedy. I want to take you to where when you was a roadie, how I met
Oh
you. I
yeah,
met you driving. You was a driver, right?
that
And you
was
was
that was
also
my in. That I can't believe that everything has come from that. Honestly, I was very very lucky and very blessed in everything that's come out of that. The tour I did with you was actually, I want to say it was like my second year into touring.
right.
I had worked for a band called Cyanide Sunrise for about 9 months, and unfortunately, we lost the singer of that band.
What was
And
that? Sorry, Cheese.
that's cool.
What was the name of that band again? One more time.
Cyanide Sunrise.
Okay. And what kind
It,
of band was it?
it was like a hard rock, metalcore type band.
Okay. All right.
And I toured with them. I was the driver slash fill in merch guy essentially. If the merch guy couldn't make it, I would sell the t-shirts too. And I was like, all right, this is cool. I love this. You don't make a lot of money, but it's definitely fun and it's an adventure. And I use
For what?
that
For
as
what?
like,
Hold
sorry,
on.
go
I
ahead.
know you use that to like plateau and to jump into a different level, but what made you feel like this is what I should be doing right now? This is what I want to do right now.
As far as the touring stuff goes,
Yeah, being a roadie,
I
like you weren't in a band, so you were like, fuck it, I'll just get with the band, I'll work with them, I'll help them out, and I'll get
so
this
funny
experience.
enough, when I met them, when I met the band I worked for, I had seen them. I'd seen them perform a couple times, and the first time I saw them play, I remember the singer Jay Bird. He said, "Hey, we're Cyanide Sunrise, and we're from Long Beach, California." And I was like, "All right, cool." I saw them at a local venue in Pennsylvania. They were just like an opener. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then a couple months go by, and I saw them on a bill for another show, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to go down. I'm going to see them. I'm going to check it out." And I get there, and like I remember I had checked on their Facebook at one point. I searched Facebook, Cyanide Sunrise, and I said, "Well, here's a band called Cyanide Sunrise, but it says they're from Pottsville, Pennsylvania." And I distinctly remember him saying they were from Long Beach, California, so it's probably not them. So I just disregarded it and went about my life. And the second
Right,
time I saw them, they just happened to be on that bill that I saw, and Bird goes, "Oh, we're Cyanide Sunrise from Anchorage, Alaska." I said, "Oh, okay. This guy thinks he's funny. He's just fucking with people. All right." Went home, liked the Facebook page. A couple weeks go by, and I see them post something like, "Hey, anybody want to drive our tour bus this weekend for this tour that we got coming up?" And I was like,
right,
I was working as a driver at the time. Actually, I was a courier. I was delivering computer parts. We were based out of Philadelphia, and we'd go as far north as Boston, as far south as like Richmond, Virginia. So I was driving for a living already, and I was off, and I was like, you know what? Might as well. I'll take a trip this weekend. It was like free booze, free place to stay, free music for the weekend. I was like, this sounds perfect. Why not? And then I ended up. That's actually. I'll segue into this a little bit. So on that tour, I was supposed to be there for 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
right.
and it was Friday night after the first show. We're driving, and I'm in the bus. I'm driving us to the hotel for the night, and Jay Bird comes sits next to me on the bus, and he goes, "Hey, can I call you Cheesefoot?" I said, "Why the fuck would you want to call me Cheesefoot?" I said, "You know what? I'm here for 3 days. I don't care. Call me whatever the fuck you want. Just pay me when we're done. That's it. We'll go about our lives. It's like, all right, thanks, Cheesefoot. Got up and walked away. Turns out over that weekend, over those 3 days, me and that dude became best friends. We ended up moving in together about 3 weeks later, and the name stuck. A lot of good has come out of that. But once I had the opportunity, once I was there for those 3 days, we went our separate ways. And literally 2 days later, I got a text from him. He's like, hey, me and the guys wanted to know if you would like to be our driver full time. Whenever we have shows, we'll pay you to come do it. And I saw it as, I'm already driving for a living. I might as well take the extra money. I might as well go see some cool places. And
Right.
I don't
Right.
regret a single bit of it.
What were you doing driving before that? Were you just
I was a
driving?
courier. I was delivering computer parts. So
Okay.
we did same day delivery essentially. When companies had issues with their software, or with their hardware rather, they would need new parts on demand. Like say you needed a new, like a new, I don't even know, a new power supply for your servers. You need that right now. Every hour that your server is down, you're losing money. And these were like big name corporations. These are like your high end banks and shit. Like you're thinking like your Chases, your JP Morgan, stuff like that. So it
Right.
was same day delivery. You ordered it, I'd have it to your door in 2 hours. So they would
Okay.
pay stupid money just to get these parts.
Okay, so you was already doing that, and then you were like, "This is fucking boring."
Oh
Me
yeah,
sitting here giving parts away or
I
new
sat in a
computers or
car. I
whatever the
sat in a
fuck.
car for a living.
Right. So now you're like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna actually
And
tour.
it
I'm
didn't
actually
have a
travel."
USB or anything. I had CDs that I was still playing. It was miserable.
I understand. So, how was it driving for bands? Was there good times? Was there like chaotic times? What was your most chaotic time? What was your most
So the
precious time?
from my experience with
Excuse me.
driving for bands, the bigger the band is, or the bigger the tour is, I guess for that matter. Because I've done tours for bigger bands doing smaller tours, but the bigger the tour is, the harsher the deadlines are. So like when you're doing small bands and you're doing small tours, especially on like a DIY tour, like I do a lot of work for a band called Handguns. They're a pop
Okay.
punk band out of Harrisburg. They're on hiatus right now, but
Okay.
I do a lot of work with them, and it's all DIY shit. It's just like, when should we be at the venue? And they'll be like, it don't matter, just be there before 7. All right, cool, we can make that happen. And then I've done huge, like not I guess not huge, but bigger tours. I've done in like right after the tour I did with you, I did a stadium tour with Crowbot. We were opening for Volbeat and Anthrax, and it was like 5,000 plus capacity every day. And our set wasn't until 6:30 every single day. Check in was like our load in time was 11 a.m. So we
Holy
had to
shit! So
be
how was
there.
that? How was that for you? Like driving, especially because I know like our being on Warp Tour. There was times that was like it took us 8 hours to get from one place to the next. And
Exactly.
those fucking, that's exactly the amount of time that we had to get to the next
Yup.
place before fucking loadout or whatever. How was that with for you?
Dude, it was miserable. You had to make sure you got enough sleep during the day. I didn't get to watch shows, which is, come on, that's the reason why you're doing it at that point. Because you love it, because you're trying to enjoy yourself. You're trying to enjoy the music. I'd be sleeping. I slept through Anthrax probably 25 of the 30 dates, like miserable. And so we would just be trucking all night and like driving by yourself. Everybody's sleeping because they got to perform the show the next day. So like they need to be fresh and ready to go. So you're just by yourself, hands on the steering wheel like this all night. Like, boy, I can't wait to get to this next city that I won't get to see.
Right. Because as soon as you get into the next city, you had to fucking go to sleep. You had to
Exactly.
basically take a nap to make sure that you were ready for that drive, and there was no other
Hmm.
drivers. It was just you. That was your job, right?
Exactly. That was my job. That was literally my sole purpose. Was I was a driver for that tour. Once
Yeah,
we got there, my job was done. That was.
those those bands are very smart. They're very
Mm,
smart to hire somebody to drive so they don't have to share the responsibility. That comes a lot of headaches. With that comes a lot of stress because motherfuckers are driving, and by the time they get there, they're tired, but they still got to jump on stage in a few hours or some
Hmm.
shit. So just having you there to do the job
And
was
a
a
lot of
blessing.
people might not realize, but like performing takes a lot out of you. You know, you might think, oh, you
Mm,
only have like a half an hour to perform, but you're going to want to get ready. You're going to spend you might spend 2 hours getting ready just for that half an hour.
right. And even if you, even like for me, I don't spend 2 hours getting ready, whatever. Like I spend some time getting ready, but I don't spend that much time. But doing the performance, a 30-minute set in front of hundreds of people
Hmm.
drains you so much you don't fucking understand. It feels like you did like a 6 hour shift, 8 hour shift of work
Exactly.
in 30 minutes.
And I don't know if you get the same way, but I've got a little bit of social anxiety, and like being in front of people kind of drives me it drives me nuts. It terrifies me. Like it's one of my biggest fears is actually being in front of people. But once I get going, once I get comfortable, it all just goes away. It's kind of like it's the best way to get over your fears, I guess, is to go head on, you know. But
Right.
it's terrifying till it's not for me.
Right, right. I mean, absolutely. It's the same thing that, even starting this podcast, because like getting on stage, I can get on stage and go, fuck it. This is what I do. I'm going to do it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm going to get the fuck off stage. I have my key points that I want to say. I have my little slogans, whatever, the
Mm,
catchphrases. You know how it is with
yeah.
bands. Bands get on stage. How the fuck you doing? We're this band from that place. Da 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 da. Juice, 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 juice. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you
And
guys. Like
having
it's
your
not
proper banner between your songs is so important. Like if you go see one of the best bands you'll ever see, and all they do is come out, play their set, and go home, it's not nearly as fun as going out and seeing a band where you're like, wow, they're absolutely just having the time of their life performing. You know, like
right,
that
right,
makes
right.
such a big difference.
Yeah, but it's still what my point was that that stuff I can do it. That's not a problem. Obviously, if the set's better, then the show's better. But I'm saying being able to talk like this
Mm.
with you, like with people watching and shit, it it's very anxiety inducing,
Oh yeah.
and you
What if I
have to
pick
know
my
what.
nose? You know, like.
I mean, I don't care if I have to pick my nose. If I have to get something in my nose, I'll get it. You know what I mean? If it's in there, I have to get it. But that's not the point. The point is, more or less like talking and then being able to like entertain and then being able to be informative and not fuck up on your words and all this extra shit that goes in your mind before even starting the podcast. You know what I mean? Before
Oh
even
yeah.
getting on. And it was crazy because like I performed in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people, whatever, and that's not that big of an issue. I might need like a shot to just be fucking in the zone, to be comfortable, to get on stage or whatever, to
Mm.
be loose. But as far as talking, and then it's like I got like we're gonna talk. We already talked for half an hour basically. We're gonna talk for
Yeah.
another half maybe. I need to know what the fuck I'm gonna say. I need to know how the fuck I'm gonna present myself. I need to know, and you don't know.
Oh
You
yeah.
want, you hope you know. I don't have it. Everything's not scripted, so it is what it is, and that's super anxiety inducing.
Oh yeah. For
How
sure.
how
I've
is how
got
sorry to cut you off, man, but how is it with you getting on like getting on stage for comedy now? Like, is the anxiety still there for you?
my
Is it
anxiety is always like this fucking high until I have the microphone in my hand and somebody laughs for the first time. And it's
mm,
funny because everything you do in life, everything you do is your anxiety is like, well, what if people laugh at me? You know, like, well, what if I get out there and like I'm wearing this stupid fucking shirt, and what if people look at my stupid shirt and they laugh at me? And you're like, wow, like that's usually what holds you back. But with
right?
comedy, it's the exact opposite. It's like, what if I get out there and people don't laugh at me? So once I
Mm.
get that first laugh, it's like, all right, cool, I'm settled, everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I get that because it's like, I mean, when I get on stage, even when I did music, especially back then, when we toured together, it was more or less. I wanted you to laugh at me.
Mm-hmm.
So we were I was in an easy place for myself. Like for me, I can easily get a laugh. It's harder for I feel anyway, it's harder for me to take for other people to take me seriously. It's harder for me to
You're
convey
absolutely right.
a serious perspective than to convey some funny shit. I can get on stage and be like whatever and hump the stage and do some crazy shit. You know how I get on
Mm-hmm.
stage, I start humping air, whatever the fuck I need to do. I get you to enjoy yourself, get you to relax. Like this guy's being a fool on stage. Why the fuck do I need to even be stiff or whatever? So that part has never been an issue for me. It's more or less like for you as a comedian when you get on stage. I'm not a comedian when I get on stage. I'm a fucking, I'm a performer. I'm an
Yeah, you
artist.
want people to take you serious.
But for you want people to take your comedy serious enough to
Mm-hmm.
laugh at it, enough to think about what the fuck you're saying and shit like that. I think I would be a little bit taken back, just like you, a little bit nervous on like, yo, are these motherfuckers gonna find me funny here? It's just it's a tough spot. Definitely a tough spot to be in. You
And
know,
like I said, your first, for me at least, my first initial thing I want to do is get that first laugh. That initial laugh means everything. It changes. It's like the floodgates are open once that first laugh comes through. So initially, I used to stock my sets with like just really cheap, easy jokes off the rip, and I got to a point where I was like, why am I using these terrible, cheap jokes that I don't even like the jokes I'm telling. Like, why am I using them? Like, I would work with a lot of. I like to do like self deprecation jokes, which I mean, look at me, it's easy to do. Like, that's too easy, you know. So I've tried to move away from that kind of shit. I've tried to move into more serious comedy. I've actually come to realize that my life makes no sense, and things that happen to me every day are way funnier than anything I could ever write anyway. All I have to
right?
do is figure out the right delivery on how to tell people how I woke up today, shit like that.
Right, absolutely. And that's exactly what you should be doing. Because like a good point. Um, you were just telling me the other day when we set this up and everything that you was like on farmland or some shit, right?
Mm.
Because
What?
don't you have like family in the farmlands
I
and then you
used
have
to when we toured together, yeah.
okay, so right now you don't have anybody
No,
like
that was like
on a
my
ranch.
ex's family.
Okay, so your ex ranch all that ranch life and
Yeah, I lived
shit
on a
and that
dairy farm when we first met. I lived on a dairy farm.
right at the same time I met your father.
Mm.
Like that right there,
Yeah,
if
my
like
dad came out to that Jersey show.
right, and he also went to his house. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yep.
My thing is like your life is so weird because of who you are.
Mm.
Like I know you Kessel. Like I'm gonna call you Kessel because that's what I fucking called you. I didn't call you Cheesefoot. I called you Kessel.
Potente.
Right. So I called you Kessel. Like you're from fucking. Your father. He be smoking hella weed. You don't even
Mm.
smoke weed unless
Nope.
you do now. I don't know.
No,
Right? You don't
it
smoke
puts
weed.
me to sleep. It makes me anxious. Like I recognize that it works for some people, but it just don't for me.
Right. And then it's like you also like Say Anything.
Hmm.
Say Anything as a fucking band, they're very comedic. They're a
Oh
pop
yeah.
punk band for the most part, and they're very comedic. They're very funny. They're very witty in their lines. So even like the long drives that I had with you, it's like, oh, this motherfucker is funny. And then when you went and did you did merch for me that one
Hmm.
time in New Jersey after seeing your father. I was surprised because it was like we probably had maybe 8 people in there, if that, and I'm probably being generous to myself and the history and my memory. But you made like 80, $90 or whatever that fucking
Sold shit to
day.
everybody.
You sold shit to every single person that was in there. And I'm like, this motherfucker, like, he should have been doing merch the whole time. Like,
I
he's
actually,
selling merch.
I still dabble in the merch a little bit. I do backup merch for Crowbot when their main guy can't do it, and it's so fun to me because it's literally like 3, 4, 5 hours of me just performing at the table. I'm just standing there making people laugh, and they're buying the shit because of it.
Right, right. And that when I saw you do that, I'm like, turned around like, that's exactly what you're supposed to fucking do. Like, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get up there, perform, whatever, like play around, joke with them. Hey, come here. Oh, I love your hair. Whatever the fuck you need to do to get their attention. Because if you're a merchandise person,
You ever
a
bought a
lot of
shirt
people.
from somebody that doesn't care if you're there or not? I hate that. I hate that so much. I'm like, man, I really like this band. I want to buy the shirt and support, but fuck, I don't want to give that money to that guy. The worst.
Exactly. And that's the reason why you did the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. So yeah, because another thing about your father, I want to bring back to your father a little bit because we went to his house. That was the first time I ever smoked dabs, right? I didn't even know what the fuck dabs were. I never seen it before at all. I know you was telling me your father at the time, like you was like, my father's a big stoner, like he smokes, yada yada, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, yeah, he smoked. Yeah, I mean, we smoke. I haven't smoked that much on tour. I smoked a little bit here and there, but it's tour. You don't know where to get it. You're not gonna just carry a fucking quarter of weed on you or whatever.
Yeah, you don't really want to be crossing state lines with that.
With a quarter ounce of weed or a half, you don't want to do none of that shit, especially at the time. But then we went to your father's house and he lit me up with dabs. I felt like I was gonna fucking die.
Dude, that
Dude,
like in the early days of dabs, I remember when he first started like fucking with that, I was like, all right, well, I might as well try it. And then next thing you know, I was like this on the couch. Just, like I might have been dead. I have no idea.
I went upstairs. I know I went upstairs to your dad's bathroom. Nice ass bathroom. Beautiful house. Nice ass bathroom. And now I'm like drinking hella water and just looking at myself in the mirror like, you're
Oh, that's
gonna
the
be a,
worst thing you can
you're,
do.
you're gonna stay alive. You're good, you're fine. And then eventually I got somewhat of my shit together to go back downstairs, and then I became a cliche commercial where I fucking melted into the couch. I felt like I was one with the couch and shit. And my brother was there, like he hit the dab. He was like, let me get another taste on that. And me, I'm like, another taste? I'm fucked. And I gotta perform tonight. Like I still gotta perform tonight. I don't even know if I'm functionable for
Oh
tonight.
yeah.
But yeah, like that's crazy to me that you just never got into it. Was it because your father was so involved into that shit that you felt like,
No, it's my personal experience with it that it literally the only experience like the only things that happen to me is I get like anxious and paranoid. It's like, oh shit, like what if something happens? Like what if the world just exploded right now? Like I don't know why my brain goes there, but this is where my brain goes. And then I get so tired. Like all I want to do is just pass the fuck out.
okay, so that was
It's
that was
like it's always been available to me. It's always been something that, I could do if I wanted to. It's always been something that if I do it, I'm about to not have a good time.
no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I could respect that because nowadays, like back in the day, I used to live off of caffeine. I used to live off of, and now I can't even fucking drink too much caffeine. If I have too much
Mm,
caffeine, that's an anxiety. If I smoke too much weed, that's anxiety. It just goes right to an anxiety attack. It doesn't, like, if I smoke enough weed, a little bit of weed, nice, I'm good. I might feel a little anxious for like a minute or so. Then I'm back to good. So I understand, but at that time I couldn't understand. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Jeez,
oh
you're
yeah,
supposed to be smoking with us, man. You're supposed to be chilling. Like,
it
what
would
the
have just put
fuck?
me right the fuck out.
Right, and you had to drive. You were the
Oh
one
yeah.
driving. I had to respect that. So let me see what else I got. What else? What else you got going on? As far as comedy in the future, do you
So
have do you have like plans to do touring? Do you have some shows that you want to set up once this shit's over? What are you trying to do?
I currently only have a couple of shows planned. I have something. Let me check the date so I know it for certain. It is. I know it's June 26th, I have a show planned. Like I said, I've kind of embraced the whole punk rock / emo comedian type thing because I found that my best performances come in a little bit of smaller bursts. So what I like to do is, like I said, I book shows with like punk rock bands because it's very receptive of my comedy. If you go out, like, I've done shows with punk rock bands, I've done shows with hard rock bands. If I go out and I'm out there performing in between sets, what I like to do is I'd like to do it in between sets. I'm filler. I'm literally there to occupy your time so that you don't have to be standing there like, oh, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do in this time? I'm there to help occupy you. And in every scene but the punk rock scene, people just don't get it. People are like,
Mm,
oh, well, because you're here, I don't get to see the band that I came to see. That's like, no, listen, they're going to be on in 10 minutes. I'm going to be here for 4. Like, just chill and let it happen, you know? So I
right,
found
right.
that punk rock fans tend to be more receptive. So if I do shows with a punk rock band, instead of doing a 15-minute set, I'll do 3 5-minute sets in between each band on the bill. So I'll come out, I'll hit you with a good 5 minutes. They respond to it, they enjoy it. I go away, you enjoy the tunes. I come back, I'll do it again. So
Okay.
on this next show that I have booked, it's with it's like a punk rock and emo uh, um, it's like a punk rock emo bill. So the
Okay.
headlining band is actually a band called Japan 4. They're a local band to Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and they do early to mid 2000s emo and pop punk covers. So
Okay.
it's emo night. It's a lot of fun, and
All
I
right.
know going into it that I'm gonna get either a 15 or 20-minute set overall, but I'm gonna break it down into fives. So I'm going to do
Okay.
3 or 4 5-minute sets. It's going to work. So that's what I tend to try to keep, and I prefer to do it that way for most of my shows rather than just people don't really respond to comedians they don't know. Like, are you
Right.
going to listen to me talk for 20 minutes if you don't know who I am? Probably not. Are you going to pay $100 to go see Bert Kreischer talk for 20 minutes? Absolutely. If
Right.
it's all a matter of if anybody knows who you are. So
Right.
I've been doing the whole uh, keep it short, keep it simple, in between sets on those kinds of tours. And I did a tour in, I want to say it was October to November of 2019. I was out with handguns. I was doing merch and tour management, and I was doing 2 to 3 5-minute sets a night in between the bands. And then I went back through in December of 2019, hit the same markets, but I was touring with Crowbot and I was just doing merch. And people were coming up to the merch table and people were like, aren't you Cheesefoot? Didn't I see you with handguns? And I was like, holy shit, it's fucking working. I was like everything I've been working at for the last however many years is finally fucking working.
Right.
And then the world
Yeah.
ended.
Well, the world paused.
Hmm.
It paused. Guess what? It
Yeah.
paused. No, but I understand what you're saying. Like, if you
Hmm.
keep on going that route, and definitely once I have my next tour set, I want you to get on there. I want you to do your fucking comedy and
I'll be
shit.
happy to help.
Sure. Hell yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be real
And
dope.
the worst part is like through the pandemic. Have you done any virtual shows through the pandemic? I
No,
know some
no.
people are doing them, some people aren't. It works for some bands, it works for some people. If you already have a following, people are
Right,
going to watch you perform, you know,
right,
through YouTube.
right.
If you don't
I
have a following, people don't tend to care. And
right.
then if you're a comedian, this is the part that I struggled with. I've seen some people try to do the like the virtual comedy thing where they do a set, and comedy needs an audience 100%.
Yeah,
If you don't
yeah.
have somebody there to laugh, like it's like, are you a fan of the show Friends?
Right,
I don't really like the show Friends personally, and the I feel like the only reason people laugh is because there's a laugh track. There's something to tell you to laugh. The audience
right,
is essentially your laugh track. The audience tells the people that aren't sure if they should laugh that they should laugh.
right,
So
right.
without
Absolutely.
that, I'm just sitting there watching comedy like this.
And I feel the same way. I feel the same way about performers. I feel the same way about bands. Like if it's a band live performance and there's a crowd that's going crazy and singing the songs with them and putting their hands up and going side to
Hmm.
side, whatever the fuck they need to do, then yeah, I want to watch that live
Oh
performance.
yeah.
If it's just you in the studio, like I'll tell you right now, I paid one time for a streamed live performance,
Mm.
and it was one of the bands that I love the most, like Jimmy Eat World. So I paid for it, but I wasn't satisfied. Like
There,
they
it's
had
not the
three, like
same.
they had three going, one after another, like basically 1 week after another. They had three of the albums that they were going to perform, and I'm not, I'm not gonna watch all three of them for $20 a pop if I got to see it like on my TV or on my
Hmm.
phone or anything. I'm not doing it. I would see them live like a motherfucker because
I
yeah, you
would
get the
guarantee
vibe.
that everybody here, if you list your top 5 live shows you've ever seen, they're all related to crowd response.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. One of my favorite bands that I loved forever, the Academy is like one of
Mm.
the best times that I had was the fact that everybody was jumping up and down and the crowd was so fucking crowded, 3,000 people in a general admission space, no seats.
Love it.
People just started falling like dominoes. Everybody fell. And as everybody fell, people turned around them and they picked everybody up
Mm.
one by one and, made sure that they weren't just going to get stepped on or anything and got back up and fucking performed. That was a beautiful sight to see. That was because it was live and I was there. If it's on the fucking, if it's on TV or it's on your phone, no thank you. No
Mm.
thank you. It's cool, but it's cool. I might pay for it if I want to support you, but it's not because I want to enjoy that experience. All
Exactly.
right.
It's not the same.
Right. Let me take you to this little question over here. It said, did his dad try to hit you with the taser? He's been known to do that from time to time.
So, my dad, whenever he gets something new, it's a toy to him. You were there at the time when the dab stuff was new. So he was excited. Hey, this is what I got. Let's check this out.
Right.
Uh, that's my buddy Tim. We went to the Philly Auto Show one time, and my dad was so excited that he had just got this new taser, and he's like, "Oh yeah, he's telling this story about like in Philly's known for its crime, so like I'll lead with that." But he said like he was walking home from the bar one night, and he saw this dude breaking into somebody's car. So he goes, I pulled out the taser, and I just kept hitting him with it while he was sitting in the car trying to steal the shit from them. And he said, like, he stopped tasing him. The dude got up and ran away. And he's telling this story, and he's jumping up and down. He's so excited, jumping up and down on the couch. He had the taser like on his hip. He somehow hit the button while he was jumping and tased himself like in the side. And he just goes, oh shit. And just falls. It's awesome.
He, so he tased basically his own ass cheek. Like
Oh,
one of his
yeah.
ass cheeks was tased because
Yup.
of this bullshit.
Because of his
Not yet. No,
excitement.
no. The answer is no. CB, the answer is no. I never got tased. I got pressured into dabs when I didn't do them. I almost died.
Peer
I
pressure is a
lived
hell
to,
of a drug.
I lived to tell about it. Hell no, I wasn't peer pressured. I was looking to smoke, but I didn't know dabs is like this super fucking strong, blah blah blah. And he did it with like the chamber and all this extra shit and this, that,
Mm-hmm.
and the third. And when I hit it, it was like a little, and it didn't even feel like nothing. So I blew it
And
out,
you
and then
just keep going.
I died a miserable death. So,
Love it.
all right. So last question for you. So what do you think about the UFO sightings being a real thing now, and now that we can acknowledge that there's UFOs or whatever? Do you think that's a real thing, real thing, UFOs? Do you
Oh
think it's
man.
something? What do you
You're,
think?
you're
Talk to
gonna
me.
you're gonna think I'm a crazy person for this. This is gonna expose. I can't believe you saved this for last. You're gonna make me end on this one.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to sound like a crazy person. I think that it would be absolutely stupid to believe that the universe is infinite. It's huge. It's a bit like you couldn't imagine how big the universe is. To think that we're the only living life in it would be stupid. There's not a chance that somewhere on some planet that we might never see or know that exists, there's not a chance that there's not some form of life, whether it be, they're like bacteria is life. It might be as small as that. It's very possible that it could be something that you and I relate to life. It could, like, I'm not saying it's human, but it's something, animalistic that we could relate to life.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel that if there was a species intelligent enough to come to our planet, we'd be dead. Like, as far
Mm.
as like UFO sightings and like people seeing saucers and stuff, it's kind of hard for me to get on board with that because look at human nature, look at animal nature. Just what do we do when we find something new? That's
Right.
ours.
Right. Right.
You've got
Right. We
resources. I need it. That's ours.
right.
I
We
think it would be
exploit.
crazy to think that aliens wouldn't do that to us.
We exploit and destroy. But do you honestly think that the aliens will be like us? Because I like my little theories of the aliens could be like, from what I truly believe in, or I won't say truly, but what I believe in is aliens are either among us, they live in the fucking water in the center of the earth. They haven't, maybe they're not aliens, maybe they're
Mm.
fucking they're earthlings, but they're from the water, they're from the ocean creatures or some shit
I
that
just,
we
to me, what would be the number one reason that we would leave our planet and go exploring the universe? It's
what do
not
you
to
think?
it's not to learn. It's because we need something. It's because we're running
Mm,
low on a resource, and it's because we're
mm.
running out of oil, and we heard Mars has it. Something
Right,
like that.
right, but
That's the scary part.
that's human, that's us. As aliens, you don't know. I'm thinking maybe they're so advanced that they're just looking at us like experiments. Maybe we are their experiments. They come around every now and then and be like, let's see how this shit is going. Then those motherfuckers are still stupid. Those motherfuckers over there still fighting. These guys over here still acting like a little bitch. Whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's an experiment. Maybe that.
Maybe they're so advanced that letting us keep living the lives that we do furthers their end game. Maybe letting us keep going about our everyday lives allows us to get to a point where they can then harvest our resources.
Right. Who the fuck knows, man? Who the fuck knows? Yo, Cheesefoot, man, I appreciate you for being here. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thank you for your time and attention. We gonna end this shit right here, right now. I appreciate y'all. I might fuck around and get on IG later. I don't know. Let's see how I feel. Um, leave a comment in the thingamabob where you leave the comments. Um, show Cheesefoot some love. Obviously, you can find him on the Instagram. I know everybody here most likely got my Instagram. They're on my Instagram. I talk to y'all. So, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks
This
for
is the
having me,
Street
man.
Shot. Yo, thanks for coming through, man. I'm gonna get you back on here too.
Oh
Don't get
yeah,
it
I'm
twisted.
down.
Get you back on here. You're a good speaker. You talk in front of crowds already. You know what the fuck you're doing. I'm gonna definitely get you back on here, man. Don't worry
For
about
anybody interested, all my socials are going to be at the Cheesefoot on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pornhub, whatever you got. I'm on there. You hit me up on any of
it.
them.
Pornhub.
Oh yeah, I'm on there. I mean, I have an account. I don't have uploads. I have an account. But
Oh, you don't have no uploads. You don't have
no, I don't have any
uploads.
uploads. They're private. But
Shame on you.
you hit
Shame
me
on
up on
you.
any of those socials. I do have merch. Not only that, but like I usually just give that shit out. So you hit me up on any of my socials. You let me know what you want. I got stickers. I got shirts. I got everything. I got magnets, bottle openers, stupid shit. You want something? You let me know. I'll send it out to you.
No doubt, no doubt, man. We're gonna connect. We're gonna talk more, bro. Take it easy. This is
Appreciate it.
Cheesefoot. This is Shamanic Poe. She shall